Hello, high school health educators in San Francisco Unified School District. I am Cheryl Nelson and I work here at School Health Programs in the Department of Secondary Health Education. And today I wanted to go over with you a few frequently asked questions about the policies for sex ed at the high school level as interpreted by SFUSD's legal department. And the first question that some folks have is, what is the approved curriculum for sex ed? And the answer to that is be real, be ready. It is the only approved curriculum and lessons to be used for sex ed at the high school level in SFUSD. The second question is, do I need to notify parents and caregivers that I am going to teach sex ed? And the answer is yes. If your school site distributed the parent-student handbook at the beginning of the school year, that notified parents that you, as the teacher, are going to be teaching sex ed. However, you will also be having some approved guest speakers in to teach some lessons in the curriculum, and you'll need to find out who those are and schedule them well before lessons 1, 8, 10, 17, and 21. And you can find out more information on your high school curriculum guide about that. And so because those folks are not you, the classroom teacher, you will need to notify the parents and caregivers of your students about your sex ed program at least 14 days before the first guest speaker comes in, even if your school distributed the student parent handbook. So it's really best practice for all teachers to let their parents and caregivers of their students know about sex ed, but well before they teach it. And most folks take care of this by putting it in their syllabus at the beginning of the semester or year-long course. We have some templates of parent notification letters that you can use. You can also email us your parent notification letter if you're unsure if it meets the requirements. And that notification letter is simply that. It's a notification. It does not need to come back from each and every one of your students with a signature from a parent or caregiver. You do not need what's called positive consent from each and every student. It's what's called a negative consent requirement. So those folks who want to opt their students out of particular sex ed lessons need to notify you in writing that they would like their student to be opted out of particular lessons. And so when I say particular lessons, I'm talking about lessons that have to do with actual sexual acts. And you can contact us to have a further longer conversation about this to make sure that you know which lessons those are. But for instance, students cannot be opted out of lessons on gender and sexuality. Those are lessons that all students need to be present for in order to help protect our LGBTQ students. Besides parent and guardian notification, there's a couple other things you should know about the sex ed curriculum. And one is that you need to give all students a pre-survey before you start teaching Be Real, Be Ready, as well as a post-survey when you are done teaching Be Real, Be Ready. This pre and post survey is online, and so the links to those, to the pre-survey and the post-survey, they are different links, are also on your high school curriculum guide. You'll need to make sure and book a computer lab, which is the best, most formal setting to do it, or to reserve Chromebooks for your classroom if you can't get a computer lab, well before you teach Be Real, Be Ready, so that you can do it the day before the first lesson. You can also do it the day of the first lesson before you start, but just know that pre and post survey, those take about 20 to 25 minutes. It should be totally silent, a testing atmosphere, and you as the teacher should be circulating throughout the time to make sure that the students are on the pre-survey and they don't have other browser windows open, and that they are focused. They should not take this pre-survey at home for homework. They should not take it on their own personal device. Something else to know is that the sex ed lessons sometimes can make some students feel triggered or uncomfortable, like some other sensitive topics that you discuss in health education, particularly the lessons regarding consent and sexual assault, for instance, particularly if a student has been victimized or knows someone who has been victimized. So for all students, it's good to let them know before you start teaching sex ed of the plan and protocol that you have in place for students when they need to step out, even if they don't have something that's approved for them to be excused from certain lessons from the parent or guardian notification. Obviously, any student who feels emotionally overwhelmed should be able to step out at any point. And so coming up with a protocol for that, for students to be able to do that and be safe and supervised is important. If you have any other questions regarding sex ed or anything else having to do with wellness or health ed, please, as always, contact us here at School Health Programs. Thank you.